Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Lindsey series. This is one of the 9 districts of Lincolnshire and one of the county's most rural. It has 128 civil parishes. Let's see which one this episode's all about. Welcome back to West Lindsey, everybody. Now, this one I'm beginning on the border between West Lindsey and the city of Lincoln. You can see the City of Lincoln sign behind me right there. Where I am is on top of the Lincoln Cliff and I'm overlooking the A46. There's a bridge, which is where we're going to be starting this episode off, which is the first little landmark in this parish. This is Burton. The West Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. And this video is also sponsored by Jamie's Fitness Studio, based on Low Road, Grayingham, near Curtin in Lindsey. Jamie is one busy lady. Check her out by calling 07906 749 574 or emailing hello@jamies.co.uk. Online membership is available. There's a link to her Facebook page in the description. Jamie's Fitness Studio. Get fit, get happy, get healthy. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Burton, or Burton by Lincoln, is an ancient village with a history going back to Roman times. It was well established by the time of Domesday in 1086, where it was recorded as Burtone. It was a thriving community in medieval times, indicated by earthworks in surrounding fields. From around 1600 and for the next 350 years, the village was dominated by the Monson family, who established their family seat in Burton and built Burton Hall on the site of an old Tudor mansion. Until 1950, it was an estate village, with its life and its inhabitants tied to the fortunes of the Monson estate. The Monson connection was severed in 1951 when the hall and much of the village was sold. Since that time, the attractive nature of Burton and its proximity to Lincoln have resulted in the building of several new houses to give the wide selection of new and old that you can see in the village today. In 1851, the population of the village was 187, and by 1951 it had reached 202. Today it's around 150, suggesting smaller households and an ageing population. It remains a highly sought-after location. Burton Parish is wider than just the village. It extends to the south and west, and in doing so covers another area, one that's completely different to the main village, and we'll be catching that too. This is Burton, folks. Let's go and explore it. Before we go into Burton Village, let's have a look first at this bridge, which carries the B1398 or Middle Street across the A46 Lincoln bypass. This is called the Burton Road Bridge by many people because on the Lincoln side of the bridge, Middle Street becomes Burton Road. It's one of the highest points around the city of Lincoln, and because of that fact, it offers some spectacular views of the Trent Valley. However, its height is also a problem, and that's why it sometimes gets referred to by its much more sinister nickname, the Suicide Bridge. It's been an issue for a number of years. There were 4 suicides recorded here in the 5 years up to and including 2010. Suicides do still occur here, but these days it's less of a problem. The bridge now has a curved wire fence and parapet, which is difficult to climb. Before that, it just had waist-high barriers. Now, of course, this view from the bridge is much better on a day when it's not all misty and murky. On a summer's day, I can recommend standing on this bridge and admiring the beautiful view, because I've done it before a few times, but you know, that's just how it is. Today it's not very nice, but it still looks decent. To be fair, it still looks half decent. Right, let's get to the village itself. So now we're going to drive up to Burton, which is in the very far distance over there. Most of this village is down the hill, and I will have to walk up this hill later to show you what's at the top on this road. So yeah, it's not a shallow hill, it's quite a steep one, so hopefully I've got enough legs left by the time I get to that point. But to be fair, Burton's not a very big village. Let's go and explore it. So here we are in Burton, and we begin on Main Street at the bottom of that hill, which I will be walking up as I head through the village. The parish council here styles itself Burton by Lincoln. Because Burton is a common place name, the village is sometimes known by that moniker in order to distinguish it from others. The names of many houses here reflect their former function on the Monson estate, like for example the Orangery and the Garden House, the latter of which is in shot now. Some of the houses here have names which reflect the Monson's long-serving estate workers, including the likes of Denton's Cottage and Ormsby Place. In 1969, the village and its surrounding parkland was designated as a conservation area. Where Main Street bends at Hall Drive, you'll find a notable landmark. This is a wellhead, which has been recently restored. It dates from 1867, according to the plaque upon it. Now, let's go in search of Burton Hall. Now, the main gates to Burton Hall are just after you come over the bridge out of Lincoln. You can see the stone pillars on the left. That's where you would go to access the hall normally. But if you come down Hall Drive, I do believe you can see the hall. I'm not totally sure about that, but we're soon going to find out. I was right, you can see Burton Hall from this street. This is the entrance to it, but the surrounding trees meant I couldn't film enough of it to give you a good idea of what it looks like, rather disappointingly. The hall was built on the site of an earlier Tudor mansion in around 1600, and was then the Monson family seat for the next 350 years. I should also mention the Burton Hunt at this point, which dates back to 1672. A hunt kennel was established in the village and continued until 1848, when they were moved to Reetham. The first 3 Lord Monsons acted as masters of the hunt. Indeed, it was the hunt that helped make Burton Hall the house it is today, because in 1766 the 2nd Baron enlarged the house so it could more comfortably host hunt breakfasts. Let's head back to Main Street now. I love the attention to detail that Burton's residents pay their properties. A good example would be these perfectly manicured hedges. Exquisite, wouldn't you say? And the hall isn't the only impressive building in Burton. There's plenty of impressive buildings in Burton. Another notable one though is the manor house, which you can see just here. Look, here's the entrance to the manor house. There we are, and it's away in the distance. It's that house you can see just above my finger there. But obviously we can't go down there because that's a private entrance. So let's carry on walking up the hill. Our next landmark is Burton Estate Social Club. This used to be a school. It was founded in 1951 when the Monsons granted the village a lease on the old school building. Until that time, all the villages within the Monson estate had been dry. Outside the club is the village's very large war memorial. Looking back as the road gently climbs upwards, you get an idea of just how beautiful Burton is. There's no wonder it's a conservation area really, is there? And now the hill really starts to come into play. This is a steep old climb, and it's not as if there's any steps. Don't forget, elevation-wise, this is on a level with the bridge. At the top of the hill, the road reaches Middle Street, its junction controlled by these traffic lights. This isn't the easiest place to be waiting either, if you're no good at hill starts. Middle Street is in fact an old coach road, which ran from Lincoln to Curtin in Lindsey, and on it here in Burton, there was once a murder. Opposite the gates of Burton Hall is the Cocked Hat Plantation, an ideal place for a highwayman to hide if they were planning to ambush a traveller. In 1798, that happened. A wealthy man named Abraham the Jew rode out from Lincoln towards Curtin. As he entered the wood at the start of his journey, he was killed by a gunshot and robbed of all his possessions. Days later, his body was found in the woods and taken to Lincoln for burial. Suspicion fell upon Long Tom, a man who in modern terms was known to the police and a customer at the inn where Abraham had been staying. The innkeeper gave evidence against Long Tom, who fiercely protested his innocence. However, it was to no avail. He was found guilty and publicly hanged at Lincoln Castle. His body was then gibbeted at the spot where the murder was committed. Years later, the innkeeper fell ill and on his deathbed confessed that it was in fact he who had committed the murder and he'd successfully framed Long Tom. The authorities stripped his family of their possessions, leaving them homeless and destitute. They also awarded the widow of Long Tom a yearly pittance in settlement. I feel like renaming this video Man Does Battle with Hill. Wow, it's quite a steep hill. I'm not joking. For Lincolnshire, that's actually quite a steep hill, and I don't recommend walking up it, absolutely not. But of course, the good thing about being at the top of the hill is that all I've got to do now is go back down it. On the way down, we'll catch the church. Just want to point a few things out here while I'm at the top of the hill. Obviously, the bridge is to the left here, which we saw earlier, and the gates of Burton Hall are between the bridge and this junction. If you go to the right, you're heading along Middle Street towards Scampton and Tilbridge Lane. You've got South Carlton that comes off the road to the left first, then North Carlton, and at the end you've got a junction. If you turn right, the showground is on your right hand side, and you've got RAF Scampton on the left hand side. Okay, let's go back down this hill and find the church next. So now we're heading back down the hill, and on the way we pass another well. This one stands at the gated drive leading to St. Vincent's Church. St. Vincent was a Spanish saint who was martyred in 304 AD. Halfway up this drive on the right is the old rectory, and the church stands on rising ground adjacent to this, with views across the village to the west. The Domesday Book records that a church existed in Burton, although it won't have been this one. The first church is likely to have been Norman, but the only Norman part visible here now is its main west doorway. I particularly like the clock here, which is on its west tower, built in 1678. Its nave and its chancel were rebuilt in 1795, and their design incorporated a gallery complete with a fireplace, included presumably to keep the Monson family warm every time they visited. Regular services are held in the church, which is another within the Springline group of parishes. Okay, so I'm back down the hill now, and I'm heading back to where I began, at the southern end of the village, if you like. Now, that might be Burton Village, but that's not it for Burton Parish. No, because Burton Village is only half of the story these days. Some 20 or 30 years ago, if I'd have done this video then, this would have been it. Burton Village would have been your lot. But these days, there's another area to Burton called Burton Waters, which is just off the A57, and it's so very different to this. You'll see what I mean in a moment. This is Burton Waters, formerly known as Lincoln Marina. Extending to approximately 140 acres, Burton Waters is a mixed-use residential and leisure development. The original development commenced in 1999 and is centred around probably the country's most prestigious purpose-built inland marina. A modern lock system links the marina to the Fosdyke Canal, the oldest navigable man-made waterway in the UK still in use today. We originally met the canal back in the Saxelby episode. Owning a boat isn't a requirement for living here, but Burton Waters does have its own boat sales department. Even though the marina is surrounded by waterside houses and apartments, visitors come here too thanks to a promenade of specialist shops, pubs and restaurants. And some of them are quite unique. Take this one for example. This is Harbour Lights, a floating restaurant which stands on pillars above the marina. Now I just want to make a point about the residential properties here. Most of them are private, in fact they're pretty much all private. They're all new builds, a lot of them are gated, we can't get access to them, so I won't be able to walk around that. But to be fair, what Burton Waters has otherwise is very interesting, isn't it? You've got the quay, you've got the little row of shops on both sides of the quay, you've got a canal towpath, which I'm going to head for in a moment. You can just about see it there. I'm going to walk around there and show you that. I'm going to make a little bit of a bit about car parks here. There's the main car park, which is over there. It's a short stay car park. You've got about 2 hours, I think it is, that you can park there for and check out all these shops. The boaters have their own separate car park, which is just behind here. That says boaters car park there, and that's where they all park. So yeah, that's the car parking arrangements. There's a few other bits and bobs to show you here at Burton Waters, so we're going to head that away and find them. Burton Waters also has its very own bus stop. From here, you can catch the 777 service, which links Saxelby to Lincoln via the A57. If you don't want a bus, how about a bike? You can hire one here thanks to the popular Lincoln Hire Bike scheme, which has 13 stations around the city. Burton Waters also has a care home. This is Tennyson Wharf, run by Barchester Healthcare. Where else have we seen a care home that offers a marina view, I ask you? There's also a very popular pub out here too called the Woodcocks. This is named after Tom Woodcock, who once lived in one of the cottages that were here. They were called Lane End cottages, which were demolished to make way for this very pub. There were 7 of them, housing some 60 people in total. And the Woodcocks isn't just a pub, it's also a hotel. Across the grassed area to the front of it, you'll find a separate building where all the bedrooms are. And if you take the bridleway, which runs along the front of the Woodcocks through its car park, you'll find Lincoln Branley's Petanque Club. I haven't seen one of them for a while. Last one I can remember was in the East Riding. I think it was in Howden, I think, a long time ago. Anyway, if you walk past that, you come to the canal, the Fosdyke Canal. We haven't seen this since Saxelby, a long time back. Here we are. Oh, it's good to see this again. It really is. So just to give you an idea of where we are, Saxelby is that way and Lincoln is that way. and you can walk all the way between the two, I believe. I think you can. I'm not sure if this path goes all the way this way, but I think it does, if I remember rightly. So yeah, that's basically Burton Waters, and just the one boat moored here at the moment. There's usually more of them. As you can see, there's plenty of mooring points along here. So yeah, good to see the Fosdyke. Been a while. And there's a railway line on the other side as well, by the way. We talked about that in the Saxelby episode a long time ago. All right, I'm going to head back to the car park. That's Burton Waters, and that is the parish of Burton. And I do hope you have enjoyed it. I know I have. I haven't been here for a long time, and it's so good to see these places again. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.